How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the Gear Vault. Today in the vault, we've got an update on the whole 7mm backcountry Savage rifle issue that I've been having. So, had a lot of people kind of interested in how this is going and wanting an update when I have an update. So that's what I want to do in this video. So I do have an update on the situation. I think the last thing that I had told you all was that a different person from Savage had reached out and basically said, hey, I got your email from, I think they got my email from Instagram, but in any case, said you can provide your shipping information, yada, yada, yada. I would be happy to send you a FedEx label so you can get the firearm in for an inspection. This was after someone else from Savage had said that I needed to pay to get the rifle there. So after the fact, this person reached out and said, here's the shipping label. So I did end up sending my Savage 110 Trail Hunter Lite back in for repair, inspection, whatever you want to call it. That was about, 12 days ago or so. So it got there super fast. And I sent an email back to the person that had reached out to me, and I said, hey, the rifle is en route. And then I said, hey, it looks like the rifle actually showed up. Can you keep me in the loop, basically? And this person who I was dealing with, Nicholas, which looks like Nicholas is, what is Nicholas? Customer service supervisor. So I don't know if they have multiple supervisors or if this is the only one, but Nicholas is at least customer service supervisor for Savage. So I said, looks like the rifle was delivered today. Please let me know on what you find. I have a lot of folks interested to know. He said, hi, Wes. The firearm did arrive, and I have pulled it for inspection by our team. I do not know how long the inspection will take, so I worked with production to procure a new replacement gun for you. The replacement has been inspected and tested and shipped out this afternoon. As it is a direct replacement, we were able to ship it to you. No FL required, yada, yada, yada. The ammunition we used with the new firearm was the Federal Fusion 175 grain, and it functioned without issue. Tracking link below. And obviously I replied with, awesome, thanks for the update and thanks for getting that handled. If it's at all possible, I would still like to know what they find upon inspection. I had originally assumed a headspace issue or maybe a rough chamber, but would like to know what the professionals say. That was on August 5th. I'm recording this on August 12th, and I have not had an email response back from Nicholas. So I think tomorrow if I think about it, I'm going to try to call this Nicholas guy up and just say, hey, whatever you find, I would really like to know what it is. I think it would go a long way in my mind anyway, and as well as I'm sure in your all's eyes, for them to just, whatever the issue is, just to say it. If it's a rough chamber, if it's a headspace issue, whatever it is, just say what the problem is and then say, hey, we sent you a new rifle, because that was probably the best result that we could have gotten. It's just a new rifle that's been function tested. But I would like to know. So like, if it's a headspace issue or if it's a rough chamber, like, it's fine. People make mistakes, machines make mistakes, and sometimes things get past quality control. That all is super understandable. But I just want to know. I want to know what the issue is, because I've had a lot of you all have commented on my videos and said, my rifle got sent back to Savage and they did X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, where's that update for me? I want to know what they did or what they needed to do. I also thought it was a little bit weird that their first reaction or response was to say that we don't know how long the inspection process is going to take, so here's a new gun. I could be wrong. It seems like there's a good chance that they got it, looked at it, and was like, yeah, this thing's got this obvious issue. Go ahead and send them a new gun. I could be wrong. I hope I am wrong, because that would be kind of weird. But in any case, this rifle that you are looking at here in front of me is in fact a different rifle. It is still the 16.5-inch model. It was a direct replacement, but it is a different serial number, and this one has supposedly been tested and shown to work flawlessly in with the 175 grain. So hopefully I can get out really soon and test that out and make sure that, it will actually function and not going to have those same extraction issues. You might also notice the scope cover here. So if you watched my channel recently, you'll see that I got a 22 ARC that is going to kind of be for my daughter's first deer rifle or deer hunt. It'll be for varmints and predators and whatnot as well. But that rifle obviously needed a scope. So I put the 4.5 to 14 Leupold that was on this one, because I obviously had to take it off to send it to Savage. Took that off, put it on the 22 ARC, leaving me with no scope when this one came back in. And it just so happened that the local Shields here, or I think maybe nationwide, Shields was having this super big like fall hunting expo sale. And they had this Vortex scope was on sale, like pretty aggressively priced. And for the last few years, I've kind of stayed away from Vortex. I had good experiences with them, like back in 2012 maybe. And then since then I had some optics that I wasn't super crazy about, I guess. And so since then I've just felt like that VX3 line of scopes was just probably like the best budget for like a hunting scope, especially for a lightweight hunting scope. So that's kind of what I've been running with. But this one has at least made me take a step back and say, maybe there's other options that are good out there as well. So what this scope is, I'll go ahead and pull the cover off here. So this scope is the Vortex Viper HD, which I guess is like the newest iteration of Viper. But the Viper HD, this is the 3 to 15 by 44 with the BDC reticle that has the illuminated dot in the middle. And to be honest, looking through this scope and the VX3 4.5 to 14, especially like putting them on the same magnification, so putting this scope on 4.5 and twisting it up to 14 power, or what would be 14 power, looking at this scope versus the VX3 in low light, it's honestly no comparison. The scope is actually quite a bit brighter, quite a bit contrastier. And I've been a big fan of Leupold for a long time, but I'm not afraid to admit when something is better than something else. And this Viper HD, at least this particular one, is a much better looking scope. Looking through it, optic quality looks better than my VX3 HD Leupold. This new line of Viper HD does seem to be a pretty good option for that like $500, $600, $700 range. So this one I think was $699 MSRP on sale. I actually picked it up for $450. So at that price, it's for sure a no-brainer. That there's not a scope that I've seen for $450 that would compete with it. Now this one obviously does not have like the exposed adjustable turrets, but for a hunting scope, in my opinion, for like the hunting that I do, 400 yards and in is kind of pretty standard shot, and you just don't need it for that. And for like the 16.5 inch barrel, if I was going to put it on like a more longer range setup, then sure, you would maybe want something that you can dial up. But for what I wanted with this setup, I think this was perfect. It's pretty simple. I like the red dot in the middle. That's super nice. 30 mil, I can take it or leave it, but optically for $450, I was super happy with the scope. One other thing, and people who have bought the Savage 110 Trail Hunter Lite, let me know in the comment section. The second gun that came had a spare magazine in it, so came with 2 mags. I don't think that's the way it's supposed to be, but I don't know. Maybe I got gypped out of the first magazine. I don't know, but this one came with 2 mags. I don't think that's the way it's supposed to be though. All right, y'all. So that is the update on the 7 Backcountry. So basically they claimed that they were going to look at the gun that I sent in, but in the meantime, they sent me this new one. So going to take it to the range, hopefully soon, and put some Federal 175 fusions through there, because that's what they say that it functioned flawlessly with. The last one was probably 50-50 on the fusions, and was terrible on the terminal ascent. So honestly, I don't really care if it's great with fusions and doesn't work with the terminal ascents. That's still kind of a fail. So hopefully it just works with everything. That would be super annoying if this one also has the same problems. If it does, then it's clearly a Savage thing, and we'll just be done with it. But hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm optimistic that they say that it functioned great, worked just fine. So I have no reason to doubt what they're telling me. So stay tuned, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Keep up with this whole fiasco that's been going on. Also, the 22 ARC little side project is turning into an interesting one. I'm hoping to be able to do some like whitetail hunting and maybe get that on film this year. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to hopefully getting my daughter her first deer. My wife will hopefully get her first elk this year. Should be a fun and exciting year. So follow along the channel if you're not already. Subscribe. Let me know in the comments section, how do you think Savage handled this one? Were they in the right to just send me a new one? Do you think they're ever going to get back to me on what's actually was wrong with the other one that I sent in? I don't know. Let me know. Thanks for watching. Appreciate y'all. Till next time, y'all be safe.